Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered tonight. We'll have the presentation, later part of our program. Inviting the host to officially welcome you all and thank you for joining us in this beautiful presentation of the effort which was done by the Canadian or Pakistani community here in GTA area under the auspices of Multicultural Society of Pakistani Canadians, which has the honor to serve the community. They just celebrated their Silver Jubilee last year. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming one and only Qamar Sadiq.
And they'll carry you away with the donation scheme that you'll be opening your wallets later in the next session when we have. But I'd like to officially announce that we have had a very successful fundraiser dinner that we held on 13th of November. And of course, this was the first that we started, and I can assure you it will not be the last. We have worked very closely with the hospital officials. I think that without their support, it would not have been possible. So we were so much impressed at the first meeting that we thought that no matter what we do, how much we do, it still won't be enough. So you could imagine the amount of work that needs to be done in terms of raising funds. And there have been a lot of generous quarters and cells and areas that monies have been coming from. But we feel that a community-based organization should be foremost to help an institution like this. A hospital is a place that you never can tell when you'll need it. And when you need it, it is there. The great part of it is one of the best hospitals in Canada. I would say, as far as the heart treatment is concerned, now with the cancer research, I think Dan Carrier was telling me this evening that the first cancer patient received his radioactive treatment this Monday, which I think was really great. It's an opening, and congratulations to the hospital staff who's here. And that's a real achievement. However, the work doesn't stop here. The first step has been taken in the cancer phase, and I think we have to work together as much as we can to do whatever we can. And when I say whatever we can, we mean that the financial support is what the hospital is looking for. And I think that's the key ingredient to get it moving to its project. I will have a check of $40,500 to be presented tonight, but we'll do the presentation a little later. And another thanks is, I think, to a good friend here, Arma Labarge, Chief of York Region.
All right. To raise money for the local hospital, because, you know, there's lots of choices people have as to what they can do. They can do things that benefit only their own community or their own membership, or they can choose to do what has been done here, not surprisingly, which is to do something that benefits the entire community and the entire province, and all the good work that's being done at the hospital, including the new work that's being done in the area of cancer. And so I just want to say to Cam and to his family for having us here, but more importantly to all of you who contributed to the success of this venture, how much it makes me proud. I go around and tell these stories. I still do a lot of speaking. There's a market for has-beens, you know, to speak at dinners, because people figure that you don't have any axe to grind, so you'll just say whatever is on your mind. But I go around and tell stories about things that make me feel good about Canada and about Ontario and about the GTA, and this is a story that makes me feel good because it's a community that decided to do something for everybody else, and I think it's just one of many, many stories that exist on the part of especially people that have come to Canada in more recent times and have decided to make such a magnificent contribution in so many ways. I only wish in some respects, and I think about this often, I had the honor and the privilege to go to Pakistan a couple of years ago, and I saw this magnificent country. I don't know how many of you who who, have been there that were not born there, but it's a magnificent country full of opportunity, and I wish we could do something to help with some of the challenges they face so they'd have an easier time realizing what is a massive potential over there, because they have wonderful, smart people and a wonderful, beautiful, enterprising country, and I'm not surprised at all at the quality of people that came to Canada from there, and their children and grandchildren who are now here making such a big contribution to this country. So Cam, thank you for having me, and I wouldn't have not been here. I will always follow your instructions as to where I'm to be, and I want to thank you for the success of this fundraising campaign because it's a great contribution.
Many amazing events here, but always with a purpose. And on behalf, Cam, and your wonderful wife, I just want to say thank you for your community involvement, your dedication, and for your leadership. And I also want to thank especially the Pakistani community. I have, over the course of my political career, really established a very special bond with the Pakistani community. And perhaps it's because of my own immigrant background that has a lot of commonalities. Can you tell? It's not Pakistan, but there are some commonalities, and that is that people choose to leave the comfort of their homeland to come somewhere else as pioneers, essentially, and start over and make a commitment. But here's the commonality, and that is that we have not asked what this country could do for us. We've made a major contribution. The Pakistani community, this is one demonstration of exactly what that means. You identify needs in the community, in this case it's Southlake. What an amazing institution. And on behalf of the constituents who are in the catchment area of the Southlake Regional Health Center, I want to thank your community, Cam, for your leadership to raise essential funds to advance.
We do an annual golf tournament called Cops for Cancer, and have supported that facility because I, like probably some of you in this room, have actually been a patient there. And I came to this area in 1973 from a small community that is in the news these days for all the wrong reasons, a little village of Tweed. And 1973, Southlake didn't exist. It was known then as York County Hospital. And Dan, I still remember that old door on the front of the building, and certainly about 1/10 the size that it is now, servicing probably about 1/20 of the population it services now. But we've seen that facility grow in leaps and bounds and become what we think is a world-class facility, what we know to be a world-class facility, and it's as a result of the leadership that you've demonstrated, a leadership that, as Frank has indicated, is talked about not just here in this community, but in communities all across Canada. And I know from reading papers in Peterborough and Kawartha Lakes that you're actually giving advice to other hospitals on how to do effective health care, and also to do it within a budget too. And I just want to congratulate and thank you.
It's truly a wonderful job that I have as my part-time job, being the chair of the Southlake Foundation. I have the opportunity to see old acquaintances and meet new neighbors. The old acquaintance, as I'm finding out, always says yes to certain people, yet when I worked with him for a number of years, all he ever said to me was, "No, John." So it's wonderful to see the support from the community. More importantly, this evening is a first for me. A first time that I've had the pleasure of being invited into someone's home to receive funds for my hospital, for our hospital in the community. And it truly is a heartwarming feeling to be invited into someone's home, and I want to take the opportunity to thank Cam and Ezra for allowing us into your home. It's truly memorable.
We are going to have the check presentation, what we have been talking and discussing for last half an hour, and praising the work of MSPC is coming to reality. We have to show you what we have done. $500 has been raised, and check is presented, certified check to Mr. Jim Lowy. Regional Health Center is a role model for rest of Canada to follow. So please join me in welcoming Nella Osenti, President and CEO of Southlake Foundation. Nella.
Thank you so much. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here, and I think Jim Lovey expressed it so beautifully, that it is such a thrill for us to have been embraced by this community, and we are honored that you've chosen us. So on behalf of all the patients that are going to benefit from the new Cancer Centre and all the staff, physicians, nurses, doctors that are going to work there, I'd like to say thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. You have truly made a difference in people's lives from your contribution tonight, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call upon Daniel Carrier, who is the President and CEO of South Lake Regional Health Center and Hospital.
Before I go on, first of all, assalamu alaikum to everyone. Jim spoke earlier of the Multicultural Society of Pakistani Canadians in terms of having a tradition of generosity. I recently learned that the society was active in lobbying in Ontario, or the Ontario government, for improved OHIP coverage for cardiac surgeries in the province of Ontario. This goes back a long time, 1985. And without your support, probably South Lake would very likely not be in a position we are in today as the 4th largest cardiac program in the province of Ontario. So on behalf of the hundreds of cardiac patients we see every year, many thanks for your lobbying. And again, given that we were the 2nd community hospital in Ontario to receive approval to host a regional cardiac center after Trillium, I'm sure your advocacy made a difference for us. Thank you.
Among us, we have bankers and some of the entrepreneurs. So many has been introduced and recognized by Qamar Sadiq. I have few more. We have Julie, Loverock, and they're from TD Bank. We also have Dante and Intisar from Scotiabank. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. And of course, you know, everybody likes milk. So if you need some connection, we have a lady present here. She's Susan Lee, and she's coming from Dairy Farmers of Ontario. Thank you for joining us, Lee. And Lydia Cafe, right? Yeah. She's running for the Ward 3. Ward 3. We wish you well. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we have a small token of presentation, and this is for my very hard-working cameraman for past 30 years. No matter where I go, whether it's Vancouver, it's Islamabad, London, Paris, or whatever, we have traveled extensively, John, together. And the Multicultural Society of Pakistani Canadian do recognize his services and efforts. He's always there whenever I need him or community need him. To recognize his services for past 30 years, I would like to call my very handsome cameraman, Sabir Gaya.
I think what Bashir has said goes far beyond that as well. Sabir has been working very dedicatedly with the society. There's not a function is complete unless he's there to make the coverage. And we thought that this is the time that we give him the recognition. In order to make this presentation, I'd ask Honorable Frank Cleese to join us. Honorable John Tory, Chief of Police. I think it's better that
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
But of course, we are all together in the long run. And then we have Farooq Ahmed, who's with us here. The one that is missing tonight is Katie Mullah, very dedicated director, who has been with us for a long time as well. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my directors for the hard work they do behind the scenes, and they get very little recognition.